All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Money Down Pod, the NFL Draft Preview Edition. Yes, that is right, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the middle of January, and we are talking about the NFL Draft because that is what this podcast is all about. That is Sean White. I am Kvon Thibodeaux. Follow us on Twitter at Money Down Pod. And if you are someone that wants to learn about the draft, if you are somebody that wants to learn about the prospects, if you want to learn about what your team can do, you are tuning in to the right spot. From here until draft night, we are going to every single week break down something about the NFL draft and the prospects coming out. And we're starting today's show by giving you our top 15 prospects, Sean's top 15, my top 15. We will debate where we have, what our differences, what our similarities are, and then we will also talk about positional value. There's a lot of debate this draft already because there's offensive tackles that could be going pretty high in the draft. And some analysts, some people, some fans feel like you shouldn't take an offensive tackle that high. Others feel like it's okay. We're going to debate where we think of that and where we think of other positions and just kind of how we would go if we were GMs about drafting when it comes to positional needs and value. So without further ado, Sean, let's kick it off. What we're going to do is I'm going to give you my first five. Then you're going to give us your first five, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll go 6 to 10, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 11 to 15, okay?
Yep, sounds good.
Let's do it, man. So I'm going right off the bat. I know that you will disagree with this, but I think most people will agree with this, and I'm taking Aidan Hutchinson as my number one. First of all, I just want to be very clear. This is our top. This is not our mock draft, okay? This is not me. Like, I'm not planning, I'm putting Aidan Hutchinson here because I know Jacksonville's drafting, and I think they might take them. No, this is just my top 15 players right now that I feel like are in. It has nothing to do where I think they'll go or anything like that. This is just the players that I think are top 1 through 15. So number one, Aidan Hutchinson. Look, Hutchinson is a presumed plug and play prospect, right? Like he's got everything you need. His length, his power, he can rush the passer. He's great in the run as well. I have him as number one, and I think what I love about him compared to my number two guy, which is Kvon Thibodeaux. That's right, my brother Kvon. Who Hutchinson 6'5", 270, Kvon 6'5", 258. The reason why I have Hutchinson over Kvon, it's very slim, but sometimes you see Kvon take some time off in these within plays. That worries me a little bit. Hutchinson's motor is something that I like a little bit more. His motor is full on go, go, go. I think he has a little bit more power behind his moves as well. So those are my 1-2, but that's why it's slim, but that's why I have Aidan above Kvon. Number 3 is Kyle Hamilton, 6'4" safety out of Notre Dame. Look, this guy has all the skill set that you want out of a safety. He is not a normal safety. His range, his coverage skills, they're unheard of for a man of his size. A 6'4" safety with the range and coverage skills that he has is nuts. I think he picked off 3 passes, broke up 3 more in only 6 games this year before getting injured. Number 4 is Derek Stingley Jr. Listen, I'm going to be very honest with everyone here. The draft is all about upside. It's all about upside, okay? This list is all about upside. So that is why and Derek Stingley has more upside than anyone. I mean, he is the best coverage skill corner in this draft. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. But I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit worried about Derek Stingley. He had an absurd season that championship year. Since then, bro, he has played some bad football. And I know he's been hurt, and I know the LSU team sucked and all that. But I would be a little bit hesitant. I really hope he works out at the combine so I can see a little bit more about him. I'm a little bit worried about Stingley, but because of upside and because he's, the guy's a cover machine. He's an athletic freak. He's got great ball skills, generational talent. He's my number 4. And my number 5 is Evan Neal. Neal played Neal is phenomenal. He's 6'6", 360, offensive tackle. He played a different position every single year at Alabama, and excelled at each one of them. He started at left guard as a freshman. He moved to right tackle as a sophomore, and then he finished as a left tackle in 2021. You do not see that happen. He is a dominant, and I think his ideal fit, by the way, is right tackle. I think that's where he would be used best. But like I said, he's so versatile. He's so big. You can use him in almost anywhere on the offensive line. That is my top 5.
Yeah, that's an interesting list you have there, and it's going to be fun so I can push back on it a little bit because we have a really different list.
Awesome. Okay, I figured we might.
So basically, again, to reiterate, and number one, and this is a disclaimer, we're not some like NFL former scouts or anything like that. We do sit at home and just watch it like you guys do, but we do like do a ton of research. We watch a ton of we watch whatever film we can get on them, and we also watch whatever clips and cut-ups we can get of them. So we do put a lot of time and effort into this, but we're not like former scouts or anything. So I mean, that's just the disclaimer out there about it. Here's the thing about it.
We're very knowledgeable on it because of how much time we put into it and how much we watch. But we don't have a certificate, or we've never, done anything like that.
Yeah. So, and the other disclaimer for my top 15 is, and I believe Kvon already kind of said it, but I want to reiterate it. This has nothing to do with where I think they're going.
Yes.
Or how you value positions over other people, which we'll talk about toward the end. But obviously, if you have like a B-level quarterback, they get elevated above a A-level center or safety. That's just how the draft works. This is not that at all. This is just my top 15. So number 1, I've got to start off with where you were at number 5. Evan Neal's my top player.
I figured overall.
So he's my top player overall. And the reason being is, you just don't see that combination of size, weight, and athletic ability in a person that has the production and film that he put out for 3 years. Not only was he really good at left tackle this year, you are right. I think he projects better as a right tackle, and he's a perfect Tristan Wirfs right tackle day one. That's kind of a good comp to have for him. He's perfect at that right tackle, and like I said, when we talk about positional value, it'll be weird to see because you see the Jags. The Jags already have a left tackle in Walker Little. So, do you really want to take a right tackle at 1? That's going to be a discussion we're going to have for a while leading up to the draft. Same thing with the Giants. They have Andrew Thomas in place at left tackle, but they're terrible at right tackle. You could see that happening as well. So that's the positional value talk we'll have about Neal moving on. But he's my number 1 player overall. My second one is Kvon Thibodeaux. The reason why I have Kvon Thibodeaux at number 2, he's almost 1B to me, honestly, though. He's very good, but he's number 2 for me right now. He's an athletic freak as well. He has been since he went to Oregon. He's just a highly rated athletic ability person. The reason I have him over Hutchinson is he wins with power a lot more and without having to use his hands that much, which hands is something he'll develop when he gets more NFL coaching. So I think he has a little more power at the point of attack and way better bend off the edge than Hutchinson, in my opinion. And that's just something you can't teach, and that he will get taught up at what Hutchinson does well. My third is Kyle Hamilton. Again, he's a safety, so I don't even know if he goes top 10, really. That's kind of how it goes.
I honestly debated at putting him at number 1. Like, I think he's that much of a freak, dude.
What kept me from putting him higher is he misses some tackles in the open field, which worries me as him being the last line of defense. But if you're talking about the ball being in the air and him tracking a play or reading a quarterback's eyes, he's one of the best there is, and he's one of the best you're going to find in any draft these last few years. He's a great safety prospect. I can honestly see people moving him around, put him at backer a little bit too in their dime and nickel packages. He's got to improve on his man coverage a little bit, but in zone and in single high, he's elite. So number 4 is where I have Aidan Hutchinson, and he's my most controversial player in this draft, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of him. And in me putting him 4, that's kind of contingent on his combine. I know a lot of people watch him and see him and like to compare him to TJ Watt or Nick Bosa or Joey, and I don't think he's any of those guys. It's kind of a white person comparison, if we're being honest. People see white pass rushers and immediately put Hutchinson there. I feel like one of the things that you like so much about him, I feel like he could be a little bit of a Henry Hustle out there. I feel like some of his stuff's just off effort, and that just don't happen as much in the NFL.
It's true, and that is why I put him up there. So it's true. It's a good point.
I would prefer to see him have some more speed and bend off the edge when mostly he wins with hands, like I said, which is something that Kvon can improve. He already has elite level hands. I just worry that he might get swallowed up by some of these great left and right tackles you have in the league, and he might not be as effective. And like I said, I feel like a lot of his production was some of the like Henry Hustle, Johnny Tryhard type plays out there. But we'll see. I want to see his testing and compare it to those other pass rushers.
Yep.
That's kind of where I want to go. And number 5, like I said, this is just players overall. If we're talking players, Tyler Linderbaum at center, one of the best players in the draft.
Yes.
I mean, the safest pick, in my opinion, in the draft. You can plug him in at center, and I feel like you got a 10, 12-year starter. He's going to be an immediate impact. He can hike the ball, pull out to either way, get to the second level in the run game. Can improve his pass blocking a little bit, but he's definitely got the strength and the hands to do that. He's just an overall great player. I've got Linderbaum at 5.
Yeah, love that. That's an awesome pick right there. Because moving on to my 6 is I have Linderbaum at 6. I absolutely love Linderbaum. I want the Falcons to take Linderbaum. Look, Linderbaum projects as a high-level starting center at the NFL level where I think he could start pretty immediate. Like, I think he's that good. Now, he is not, in my opinion, a flexible player. Like, some GMs out there might knock him for this where they feel like they can't move him around the offensive line. You'll see a lot of people want to do that. He is strictly a center, which if you're good with that, which I am, that's your guy. Like he's not, you're not going to move him over and all that stuff. Put him at center and he will do. He's a pure center. He's a highly polished, highly cerebral guy. The dude is smart. The dude's physical, 6'3", 290. Linderbaum is my number 6. My number 7 is actually another offensive lineman, and it's Ikem Ekwonu from NC State. Ekwonu. I love him. Look, he took a massive step forward this year. I watch a lot of NC State. My girlfriend's parents went to NC State. They love NC State. We watch all these games together. I went to 2 this year. The guy has some room to grow. He gets a little bit too aggressive at times, and it calls for issues. There's no doubt about that. But I believe he has a ton of upside. 6'4", 320. I think he ideally fits at the left tackle role in the NFL. And again, this is all an upside, and I think this guy has so much upside. I really like him at number 7. Number 8, give me George Karlaftis. Karlaftis, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I have him at 7. We're like right there together on him.
Love this. Would be very happy with the Falcons taking him as well. Look, like this guy is a versatile Iron Man, and that's what you want from players coming out of the draft. He played every game. Like he does not go out. I think he played at least, I have here 49 snaps in all but one game this past season. And he's got a motor. He's got a high power motor. Now, I will say this. If you're looking for, and Sean will probably agree with this, I'm sure, speed and athleticism with your rushers, George isn't really that guy. He wins his battles with his power and his aggressiveness. Like, this dude has power. And I think and I like that. He rolls blockers back into the lap of quarterbacks. That's just how he does it. He's big power dude. That is my number 8, right? I said 8.
Yeah, because I have him 7.
Yeah, that's my number 8. And then my number 9 is Devin Lloyd, the linebacker out of Utah. I really like Devin Lloyd. He's my favorite linebacker in this class. 6'3", 235. In the passing game, he can rush from the inside or out. He does great at getting depth and tackling underneath. He's proven that he can get home on the pass rush as well as drop back and play physical. He's a downhill player who leads the nation in tackles for loss. Love Devin Lloyd. And number 10, right? That was 9?
Yep, 10.
Yeah. Number 10 is Jordan Davis, inside defensive lineman out of Georgia, 6'6", 340. Look, Davis was a 3-star prospect coming out of high school who worked really hard to become one of the top defensive players in the country. He's a senior. He aligns as an interior defensive lineman, typically aligns at the 3 tech. He demonstrates good reactive athleticism, which is something I really want to put here because he kind of has this different type of instinct that I noticed when he was playing for Georgia. He's extremely impactful as someone who can command double teams, which frees up other players. And in the run game, he is dominant. So Jordan Davis is my number 10.
Okay, so before I go over mine, let me kind of push back with you a little bit so you can kind of talk about how you have this. So before I go to 6, that's where I'll push back with the last one. So I'm going to start with 2 you said. Jordan Davis, I don't know if I can put him that high. I don't have him in my top 15.
You don't have him in your top 15?
I don't.
Okay.
I believe if you're going to play the nose, you have to be like Vita Vea and rush the passer. And I don't believe that Jordan Davis can rush the passer. I think he's a 2-down player.
Okay.
And I just worry to draft a 2-down player anywhere before 20, like really putting him in that top 10 like that.
That's
would
fair.
understand if the Chargers at 17 would do it because they were so bad against the run. But I worry about that pass rush because I don't think at this point you can teach him. He had Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart teaching him moves this whole time. I worry that he's not going to be able to get that pass rush ability that Vita Vea has, and he's just going to be a 2-down run defender. So
that's fair. Look, he gets a lot of credit for being a really smart guy. Like I think in my opinion, he still has room to learn. But I guess I'm looking at it more. You have a great point about if he can't rush the passer. I think he's so good in run blocking. I mean, he was phenomenal for Georgia in run. He was a huge reason why they were so good at stopping the run. And the way he opened things up for other teammates in college, I understand that's not going to happen in the NFL if he can't rush it as more. But I think he has so much strength. I mean, in college, he was pushing these guys back into the lap of the quarterback, which can cause chaos for the quarterback. That's why I have him. So I just think he's a beast. I think he's so good in the run block. I have him in the 10. But your point about if he can't get to the quarterback more, it will be something that execs will drop him down.
So the other thing is I wrote down a bunch of names that I liked, and then I kind of ranked them. So a few didn't make the list. They were right behind. And obviously this is going to change over time. This is our first time coming out with this. So Devin Lloyd was actually on the outside for me, as well as Nakobe Dean.
15?
I have him like right there on the edge, as well as Nakobe Dean. So I don't know. Do you have Nakobe in your top 15?
No, Nakobe Dean is my number 15 player.
Okay, so how do you like them two comparatively? Because Nakobe Dean like has more of the leadership value kind of role, whereas Lloyd I think just has more upside. Like as a pure linebacker, I do think they'll end up in my top 15. But right now they just missed. They were both 16 and 17. Really.
I like Lloyd a good bit over Dean. I think Lloyd, to me, I think I've seen a lot of people that have ranked them side by side. I think Lloyd, because of his upside, because of his ability he's shown he can rush the passer. He's shown that he's really good at getting in the backfield, bro, and doing tackles for loss. You're right. Nakobe Dean, he's a rah-rah. He's a leadership guy, and he's a great locker room guy. But I just think Lloyd is going to be way more effective early in doing everything that an NFL team needs him to do. He's much more of a versatile player. I like Lloyd a lot. I was arguing between others to put Dean up there. Lloyd, for me, had to get up there.
Yeah, I was going to say another knock on Dean, I guess you could make, is that he probably is going to get knocked a little bit just because he played behind Jordan Davis and them, which opened up so much lane for him, whereas Lloyd had to read it a little bit better. So like I said, I do have a feeling both of them are going to move into my top 15 as they test. Just right now, I had to leave them off a little bit because I'm into other ones. So the last one is, and this is because this is going to be my number 6, so I'll lead it off. I know you like Ekwonu, and he's my 11, so he's right there.
Okay.
But I have Charles Cross as OT2.
Okay, so I have Charles Cross at 14.
So that's where we kind of differ on that. Yeah. I think Ekwonu is like a step under Neal. Like they're kind of the same player. Both could play guard, both could play right tackle, both could play left tackle. I just don't think he's quite as athletic, and he isn't quite as big as Neal is. No, whereas I think Charles Cross honestly has the most upside of anybody to be your premier left tackle in the league. I think he, like, in pass block sets, he can handle speed rushers better than both of them, in my opinion. It's going to be the run game he's going to have to work on, but he will get stronger as he's in the NFL weight program. So that's why he's my number 6. I wanted to see how you felt with those two.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll be fully honest with you. I've watched Ekwonu way more.
Oh, yeah.
And because of that, I've watched Cross. I went and looked at his games this morning when I've had to put him in my 14. Being more familiar with Ekwonu, and I really like him a lot, I just had to put him higher. That might change as time comes because I've heard a lot of good things about Cross, but right now I like Egwanu's upside for me.
Yeah, I feel like Charles Cross has that kind of like that first back step Trent Williams almost, where you're like, he's so quick to get his feet set and get his hands on you. But yeah, so that's kind of where I like that. So, yeah, I figured we were going to be close on that because those are going to be the top 3 OTs, in my opinion.
Yes.
They're going to be the top 3 head over heels. They'll all probably go top 10. So that's kind of where we're at on that. So my next one is Carl Loftus. We talked about him a little bit.
Yep.
I actually think he's a little sneaky athletic. I think he's going to actually test better than Hutchinson, in my opinion. That's another reason why I have a knock on Hutchinson. I think he's going to test better than Hutchinson. I think if you're going to compare a white edge rusher to like Watt and them, I think it's going to be Carl Loftus. That's why I'm so excited for the combine on those two. But you're right, he's an absolute freak show.
Yeah,
bull rushing and getting to pushing people back. My number 8 is actually Garrett Wilson. So Garrett Wilson is going to be my wide receiver 1 this year.
Yeah,
and I know me and Kvon texted a lot during the CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jerry Jeudy draft, and I did something that I shouldn't have done. I like Justin Jefferson a lot, but I kind of was moving Jeudy above just because of stuff I was hearing and stuff like that. When I should just start my gun. CeeDee Lamb was always going to be my number 1 in that draft, but I should have had Jefferson at 2. I think Garrett Wilson can do everything. So Justin Jefferson got knocked in that one because he played majority time in the slot, but now you see him kill it on the outside. Garrett Wilson can line up at either one of them, and he's going to dominate both. He has body control. His hands are good. His yards after catch is good. His route running is great. He's a little small. That's his only knock. But, I mean, if you're talking about someone that's going to get open from any position at every level, Garrett Wilson's your guy. So he's my wide receiver 1, my 8th overall player.
Love that.
So here's where me and you're going to have some controversy, which is why I wanted to go right there. My 9 is Sauce Gardner, and my 10 is Stingley. I have Sauce Gardner 1 spot ahead right now.
Listen, I told you, Mike, I'm fine with that. We're not going to have controversy. I'm fine with that.
Okay, because Stingley's injuries, one worry me, and 2, he started getting burned a little bit, and when he wasn't injured, and that kind of concerns me as well. Sometimes these players with good ball skills, you see it with Trayvon Diggs. They want to jump everything.
Yeah,
like they start wanting to be interception machines. And sometimes you just got to play coverage, which is what I think Sauce Gardner does best at. He can really bump and run. He plays his coverage. He didn't give up a single touchdown his whole career in college. I think he's your long, rangy type corner, and then Stingley's right behind him. I think they're going to be hard to pick out between the 2 of them. So your thoughts on those? I know you didn't have Garrett Wilson yet, so I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, so Garrett Wilson's my number 11.
Okay.
That's why I said great pick. That's why I was smiling. Love Garrett Wilson. Perfect. He's my number 1 as well. I really, really like his versatility. I also think he is just he's a really good route runner. He's a pure route runner, but he's also can be a deep threat, man. Like he can go out and get that ball down the field. I like Garrett Wilson a lot. So I'm good with that. To be fully honest with you, man, and that's why I put in my notes here when I was talking about Stingley, and I had to mention I'm concerned. I would not be shocked, bro, if by draft night or before then, I end up dropping Stingley a ton. Like every year, there's one player that I'm always like, there's something about that guy that I don't know if I like. Stingley is starting to feel that way with me. His upside is so good that I had to put him in my top 5 because if he is on like he was in 2019, I mean, that boy was incredible. But I would not be shocked if I had Sauce Gardner ahead. There's another cornerback that I actually have before Sauce Gardner that I'll get to when I keep going here. You might not even have him in there. I think I'm a little left field on this one, but I love this guy. If you want to take a guess on who it is.
Elam?
Nope.
No, I don't know that. Let me give my 11 and through 15, and you can go with that then. Yeah. So it's obviously I have Ekwonu at 11. That's someone that I feel like is going to move up a ton.
Yes.
And it was funny you were talking about that with Stingley. Just thinking about it, I'm like that with Hutchinson, man. I've got to see Hutchinson test. I just don't trust what I see like that. But that's funny how that is. But at number 12, speaking of Hutchinson, I have a Jabo at number 12, his running mate. Yep. The 1 year kind of bothers me a little bit.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, man, he's the athletic one out of the 2. He's really that 3-4 stand-up rusher out of the 2 of them, and he's gonna give some problems. Now, here's where it's going to be a little controversial for people because I've seen this guy in the 2nd round, which I think is crazy. I think Treylon Burks is right up there with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's better, but I think Treylon Burks is up there. I think he's getting knocked, kind of how A.J. Brown did, man. And A.J. Brown fell to the 2nd.
Yeah.
He dominated in the SEC, and he's about 6'2", 6'3", 215, goes up and gets the ball, still has speed to run away from people, but he's getting knocked, and it's kind of weird to me. I just don't see how you can knock him like that. I prefer him. He's my receiver too. Like,
let me ask
clearly.
you, well, if Drake London didn't get hurt, would he still be your receiver too?
Burks, yes.
Where is Drake London on your list?
I didn't even write him.
No, not top 15, like on your wide receiver list. Like, do you know, like,
4 or 5 right now?
Okay, so who's 3?
I kind of like Olave. I actually bigger on Justin Ross than Drake London.
So I have Olave as number 2, but I see a lot of people putting Drake London as the number 2 receiver. I see a lot of people putting Olave as the number 1 receiver, by the way. But I would be okay with that. I just like Wilson more. But I have Olave 2, and then I have Burks 3 and London 4. Yeah, but I like London, man. I like London a lot.
Okay, that's perfect because London's one that bothers me a little bit. Here's what scares me about London. Everyone wants to call him Mike Evans, but he doesn't have the yards per catch that Mike Evans did coming out. I mean, it's by like 8 yards. Like, it's nowhere close. The other thing is he gets no separation at any level. Like, everything he catches is contested or within like a yard of someone. And that worries me for the NFL because if you're not separating against Pac-12 corners, you're not going to separate from NFL corners.
Yeah. So
that's one thing that worries me. He's going to be elite jump ball. I honestly feel like he's more Michael Pittman than he is like an all-star great receiver.
Yeah. So I have this thing when it comes to wide receivers in college. It's very simple. So you might laugh at it. If you can show me that you are a good receiver with some straight ass cheek quarterbacks, I'm on to you. And he had some of the shittiest quarterbacks I've ever seen. I mean, USC's quarterbacks were awful. They were awful. And he was still really, really good. And look, I told you it's simple. It's weird. I like that because that's what you're going to have to deal with in the NFL a lot of the times. And so that I like that a lot. And that's why I like Drake London. So,
yeah, I understand that completely. Like I said, they're both kind of jump ball guys. Like, Drake London and Burks are going to get lumped together. Yeah. And Drake London has a few inches on him in height. He's more 6'5". Burks is more 6'2", 6'3". But I think Burks has this A.J. Brown quality to him.
That's
where he just if it's a jump ball, he's going to go up and get it. He's physical, and he might not separate as good as a Wilson or an Olave will, but he's still going to be open, and he'll go up and get those contested catches. He's a bigger receiver. That's kind of where I have the point of difference on that. I'm glad you brought up Drake London though, because he's going to be a real pushback type of player for me, because I've seen him in some mocks going 10, and I'm like, are you crazy? If the Jets take him at 10, like. So that's kind of where that is. Number 14, and this is a hot take in the draft community, like with people like us that like to armchair scout. I have DeMarvin Leal at 14 for Texas A&M. I'm high on him. I'm high on him. A lot of people are down on him because he disappeared in a few games. I think he has like super upside. Pass rushing D tackle. He could play the D end in a 3-4. He could play the D tackle in a 4-3. He could pass rush anybody up the field. I really like him, man. I don't understand what the big knock on him is either. Him and Burks are kind of getting knocks, in my opinion, that they shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. And I just prefer him to a lot of the other D tackle prospects. Yep. And then number 15 is he's going to be a riser. You're going to see his name rise up. A lot of people might have him down to start with, but he'll rise up. It's Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. I think he's easily the next best edge. Him and Ajabo might battle for that fourth edge spot. Even with Carl Loftus, I could see them battling it out a little bit. Jermaine Johnson's a freak. He was good at Florida State. I like him. He was my 15. Like I said, we talked about before, Devin Lloyd and Nakobe Dean are right there, right behind them, those two.
Awesome. So. Yeah, no, good stuff, man. That's great. All right, so there's a couple that we already agree on. I told you Garrett Wilson's my number 11. He's my favorite wide receiver in this draft. I love him. Everything you said about him is spot on. My number 12 is DeMarvin Neal. He's controversial, like you said. I'm good with him, bro. He's a true junior. He started all 3 years at Texas A&M. He has rare size, 6'4", 290. He's athletic, functional strength. He's dominant, versatile defensive lineman. And what I liked is the Texas A&M defensive scheme. It's a little out there. Like, Jimbo does some crazy stuff. He lines up in every alignment in that scheme. Like, he showed me that he can be versatile and he's impactful at every position that they would move him around in. I really like that part about him. He has power. He can collapse in the pocket from the interior. I was high on Neal. My number 13, the cornerback that I was going to see, I love Andrew Booth Jr.
Another Clemson guy. Yeah, Kvon's a Falcons fan. If anybody hasn't watched this before draft stuff, he's got the ATL on. So, yeah, he's big on AJ Terrell. So, I should have thought about that, but that's smart.
I actually compare him to Jair Alexander.
I can see that.
Look, he's 6 foot 200. He offers an exciting blend of athleticism, instincts, physicality, ball skills, toughness. I think it makes him, with what he has, an impact starter at the next. He's a very fiery competitor on the field. He's an alpha. He's that typical cornerback alpha type guy. Now, he needs to work on his zone coverage. I'll be honest. I love Booth's attitude and his athleticism, and I think he really good, pressed up, all that stuff. He's got to work on his zone coverage, though. That's one thing about him, but I really like Andrew Booth. Have you looked at him at all? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've seen him a little bit. I like the Jair Alexander comparison. I like to do high-low comparisons. For some of these people, I don't have lows yet because I haven't really watched it, watched the full array. But I can immediately find highs. Like, I think Leal, his high is going to be Chris Jones with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I can see
that's my perfect comparison for him, who also fell at Mississippi State because he disappeared in some games as well, and he fell in the draft too. So I kind of see him falling that way. I love the Jair Alexander comparison you made, though. He's about the same size. He's going to compete in man coverage every time. A little shaky in zone, like you said.
Yeah.
Like I said, the only thing that he doesn't have over Sauce Gardner and Stingley is the length. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where that is. And I can see him falling for that, and somebody's going to get a great corner because of that as well.
No doubt. My number 14, Charles Cross, 6'5", 305. Like I said, he's going to go up in my rankings. Sean has him very high.
He's the best pass blocking OT in the draft.
Yeah, that's exceptional athlete, first step, all that stuff. He's phenomenal. Really, really good. He will start immediately. And number 15, which I already mentioned, is Nakobe Dean. He's a very reactive athlete. Quickness, agility, smart, team player. Like, I have quotes here. Teammates going to love him. Very smart player, all that stuff. But Devin Lloyd, to me, is hands down better than him. But I do like Nakobe Dean. I do think he could help a team very well.
Oh, I should have mentioned this too. So that's great as well. I should have mentioned this. Had he not tore his ACL, Jameson Williams would have been up there for me.
Without a doubt. I think Jameson Williams would have been my number 1, to be honest.
He would have been my number 2. Garrett Wilson's good. I'm not going to get fooled. And because I'm telling you, I watched enough Justin Jefferson. I'm not going to get fooled by that. I love Garrett Wilson because he gets open at literally every level from the slot and from the outside. Yeah. And literally he runs slot fades, outside fades, catches all of them. So he's just my number 1 because of that. Jameson Williams was my number 2, though. So that's kind of how that is. I kind of actually have him. He's ahead of Drake London still for me. If his ACL checks out, I'm fine.
Oh, no. See, I dropped him completely because of the ACL, because of how late he tore it. Like, he wouldn't even be ranked in my wide receivers right now because of how late he tore it. Like, I obviously, when it gets come and see how things go and all the reports, but I'm telling you, that's how far I dropped him because he would have been my number 1 receiver.
I mean, listen, that's going to be the most Kansas City Chiefs draft pick of all time in the first round. Right. But no, so that's an excellent top 15 you have, obviously. I knew we differ a little bit, but honestly, we have a lot of the same people. I like how you set it up. I believe that after you mentioned Devin Lloyd, you're kind of selling me on him. I need to watch a little more Lloyd too, but like I said, he'll end up in my 15 somewhere. I do like how we broke that down, but I do want to talk about the positional value thing, because if you paid attention to the top 15 we gave off, it's a lot of obscure positions out here. And a lot of these players are not going to get drafted in the top 15, even though as players, they are probably ranked there. So for an example, Linderbaum, centers do not go that high, right? You don't ever see a center get drafted in the top 10.
No, name me one. I literally cannot think of one.
I mean, and he's going to be a plug and play guy. I mean, Travis Frederick was laughed at when he was picked 30th by the Cowboys. Yeah. He was laughed at. I mean, recently we saw the Saints pick Eric McCoy pretty early. And I mean, that's a good comparison. I feel like they were both great centers, but
He was in the
picked in the
second
20.
round, though, right? Or was he
Yeah,
late first?
he was late first.
Yeah, late first.
So I can see Linderbaum somehow falling deep because center is just not valued that high, and someone's going to pick up a great player in the teens, I believe. That's what I think is going to happen.
See, this is where it's tough with me, man, because I get it, and a GM will get crushed if you pick him in the top 10, but I also look at it where it's like, if this guy is as good as people, if you're a GM and you really love him and you think you can plug him into your center role immediately and he will help, I'm okay with taking him. But if you feel like you can trade down and still get him, then obviously you got to do that, you know? But I come from the mindset, like Evan Neal, I would take him number one. If someone doesn't, like, I think pass rush is more important. But so if someone doesn't feel they need a pass rush and they don't want Kvon Thibodeaux or they're worried about Aidan Hutchinson like you, then I would 100% take Evan Neal number one. Now I know that's different. We're not talking about a center. We're talking about an offensive tackle, right tackle to be exact, at what I think he would be. But that's like, I'm okay with it, man. Like there's the offensive line, the defensive line, other than quarterback, are going to help your team immensely immediately. If you can protect your quarterback and if you can rush the other quarterback. So if you find someone that you love that much, take them. But again, I get it. You don't see centers going that high.
Yeah, so that you moved on perfectly to what I want to talk about as the other positional thing. So right tackle is not valued that high either, but I think that should stop. This is a passing league at this point, and these pass rushers now, Von Miller was really the first one to start doing this. They line up on that side now.
Yeah.
They line up over the right tackle most of the time.
I'm telling you right now, bro, Evan Neal will not drop out of number 3.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
See, here's where it is. It's going to depend on how these teams feel about it. If the Jags don't want to take him at number 1, because I'm telling you, for the people that don't know, because obviously you don't watch a ton of Jags, they lost a ton of games. They drafted Walker Little in the second round. That's what we did. Cam Robinson is probably walking in free agency, but Walker Little started the last 3 games. He started against the Patriots and the Colts. Between the two of those really good D lines, he gave up 1 pressure as a rookie who hadn't played all year. He's going to be our starting left tackle because he can't play right tackle. The reason why he didn't get on the field is because he sucks so bad at right tackle in the preseason. It's hard to switch for some of these people to do. So if you take Neal at number 1, you're probably plugging him in at right tackle because he's more of a stalwart as a run blocker anyway. So you want him there too, as he can also pass block. That would be a positional value argument in the Jags war room that I could see breaking out. I can also see it at 5 with the Giants. Like I said, Andrew Thomas is going to be their left tackle. They need every position on the line outside of that one. So you would make that argument. Do you want the right tackle there? If Neal is gone at that point, do you go for Ekwonu and put him at right tackle? That's the same argument you have there. That's an argument that the Texans are actually going to have because they have Tunsil and Titus Howard. And that's the one way I can see Neal falling out of the top 3 is if the 2 pass rushers go the first 2. I don't know if the Texans are going to take him. They would trade back. But that's the positional value I'm talking about because the other one is if someone doesn't take Kyle Hamilton in the top 10, someone in the teens is going to get one of the best players in the draft.
Which is incredible.
And it's because he's a safety.
Yeah. I don't see him falling out of the top 10. I get the whole safety thing. And because of this year, like, there's so many guys that, I mean, like, would you say that Ekwonu, Neal, and Cross all will go in the top 10?
Yes.
Okay. So I would too. I would think most likely. So because of that, maybe you could end up seeing Hamilton fall out. And again, also because of a safety too. But like if the Falcons, like I would love to take him at number 8. I think that he's a special guy, man. He's a 6'4" safety. Like his length is incredible. But
he's 6'4" and he doesn't even play the Cam Chancellor role. He plays the Earl Thomas role.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts, man. Like I love him. I think he's awesome. I would take him top 10.
Yeah, And I think one thing that we should make clear as well, this is a much weaker draft than last year at the top. It's a deep draft where you're going to get a lot of the second, third, fourth rounders because they had the super seniors and everything come back for COVID. But at the top in this first round, it's not a lot. I mean, if we were going to combine those two classes together, you'd see like Neal go up there toward the top with Sewell and Slater.
Yeah.
And then you'd see Thibodeaux. Outside of that, I think it's remaining close to chalk from last year, really. Yeah. With the quarterbacks at the top, and then with Chase and Pitts, like that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, last year was incredible. And since you mentioned quarterbacks, I do want to say this because I know a lot of people are going to say, you don't have quarterbacks in your again, this is not a mock draft, okay? Like I just pulled up Mel Kiper's mock draft because I know you said that he posted one. He's got in his mock draft, and this is a mock draft we did not do a mock draft. We just gave you our big board of our top 15. He's got Malik Willis as the first quarterback off the board at 11.
Which that's a hot take.
That is interesting. That is very, very interesting. Then the next quarterback that he has taken is Kenny Pickett at 18 to the Saints. Which honestly, I could see the Saints doing that. And then he's got Matt Corral at 20 to Steelers. So like even him in his mock draft only has one quarterback going in the top 15. Like this is not a quarterback draft, ladies and gentlemen. It's not at all. He ends up having Sam Howell going at 28 to the Lions with that Rams pick. So he ends up having 4 quarterbacks go in the first round, but they all go outside the top 10.
I think it's going to take a GM like falling in love with a quarterback to go in the top 10.
Oh, no, man. You know how these GMs are. To go in the top 10? Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
One's going to fall in love with one, and that's going to be it. Like, whether it be trade up, I think the first one you can start looking at, because Davis Mills improved enough to where I don't think the Texans go there.
They're not taking one at number 3.
The Lions aren't taking one at 2, in my opinion. Honestly, I think the first spot you look for is you guys at 8.
I think it's 11. I don't see us doing it.
I mean, I don't see it either. But if Fontenot and Smith fall in love with Kenny Pickett,
you're right. You're right. I think that would be a reasonable call to say the first one would be us to look at. But again,
I don't see it happening either. I'm just saying that's the first spot you would really look for, unless someone from the teens falls in love and trades up to do it.
Which I could see us trading back because we have a lot of issues. But I think realistically, us and Washington at 11 is where you want to start to really look at QB. I don't think Washington would take a QB. I just doesn't feel like Washington's going to do that. But that's where I would start looking.
I wanted to hit on this too, real quick before we can finish up. So I know we have some Panther people out there because we're both from that the North Carolina area. You live in Charlotte a lot beforehand, and I used to live out there. My wife's from there. Did you see Matt Rule's comments on why they didn't take Slater last year?
Oh my God, bro! If like Matt Rule, who I just want to say real quick, I really like Matt Rule as a coach, and I liked him a lot before he got this Panthers job. Since he's gotten this Panthers job, he has decreased his value every single year somehow. I mean, it's just been incredible. The fact that he said that they were worried about taking Slater, because of his size?
That's what it was, yeah. He said his exact quote was, "You don't take a guard that high."
That is nonsense, man. Slater's phenomenal. Slater's insane. Like this, if I was a GM and I heard that,
I believe it was arm length because he's 6'4". I think it was 6'4", and he had slightly shorter arms than Rule wanted.
See, that's where these executives, bro, they get too full of themselves. They get way too full of themselves. Just look at the film. This stuff happens all the time in the draft. And this is a conversation we need to get into, overthinking this and how some of these executives do. Just watch the damn film. Like, Slater told you everything you need to know by the film. Yeah, that was an absurd comment. If I was a Panthers fan, I'd be heated.
So that's why I wanted to say, when you said that Neal's floor was 3, like I said, if everyone does this whole positional value thing and the Jags don't take him 1 and the Texans keep their 2 bookends, say the Giants do that as well, his floor is the Panthers because he's big enough to play where Matt Rule would want, and the Panthers are in desperate need of a tackle. That's why I say Neal's floor would be. right there. But I think that's funny because I think that would probably eliminate Ekwonu unless he changes his thoughts on it, because I think Ekwonu is going to be a little bit shorter than what Matt Rule is looking for, which I think is absolutely absurd.
Yeah. You know, it'd be really funny if he did take Iguanu and then he would have to sit there and say, oh, I guess I changed my mind on how, like, come on, bro. But yeah,
yes, I wanted to get into that because I know some Panther fans probably were just roasting him once he said that, because Slater was like first team All Pro at left tackle this year as a rookie. But I mean, come on.
Oh,
man.
I saw Panthers fans on. That's how I saw about it, because I saw Panthers fans on Twitter saying this guy's got to go just after a comment like that. Like, it's
you don't
absurd.
take a guard that high.
And dude, if you did think that, please don't say that to the public. Like, please don't say that. Like you should be smart enough to know that guy's doing really well. I shouldn't say that. Like, come on, man.
My favorite was when like they started the press conference and he was talking about the Sam Darnold trade, and he immediately, before he said anything, was like making like shoulder shrug motions.
So funny. He had no idea what to do. All right, let's end it on this to put you on the spot. I did not tell you we were going to do this. It just came to my mind. Out of your top 15, right now, when we do this again in a couple of weeks, who do you envision that you have moving up the most?
I could definitely see Ekwonu moving from 11. We discussed him a lot.
Yep.
I can see Hutchinson moving up if he tests well whenever we get to the combine, because I kind of have him on. I need to see him test. That's where I'm at on him. So I see those two moving up. We'll go ahead and go with moving down as well. I can see I have Jermaine Johnson in there. I also can see Stingley being a controversial one.
Yeah,
he can move up or down, really.
Yep. That's
so those two, and then I mean, like I said, the other ones, I feel like anywhere from Cross at 6 down to Johnson, it's very fluid where I have them ranked.
Agreed.
I feel like that's very fluid. Honestly, I could probably see myself coming away with Garrett Wilson being a top 5 player in the draft, honestly, just because he's a great football player. But again, he's not going to go top 5, but that's kind of where I see that. I know you have Stingley, so do you have anyone moving up that you can see?
Yeah, moving up is Charles Cross. At 14, he's going up. He's going way up. And then moving down would be Stingley. I want to see him. I really hope he does the combine, bro. I really need to see him test out. I want to see his pro day. I want to see his combine. I want to see all of that. But he right now is someone that I have circled big time. And you kind of sold me on Hutchinson, man. I might drop Hutchinson if I don't see him test well. Like, I think all your points are very valid of Hutchinson. I'm going to be keeping my eye on him. He might be moving down as well. He might stay there, but he might be moving down depending on how things go moving forward.
Yeah, see, this is what I like about the show. We go over these, we talk about it. This is probably going to be like my favorite show to do over this time, because I'm a draft nut. Mm-hmm. So everyone needs to keep in mind, we do need to know some team needs. So over these next few weeks, please give us some comments. Tell us your team needs. If you agree on some of these prospects, let us know. If you disagree, let us know. Tell us what you feel about positional value. I know in a lot of the Jags subs and everything that they talk about, it's a hot take right now. A bunch of people hate the idea of taking Neal at 1, and a bunch of people really want the pass rusher at number 1. So let's hear what you feel about these positional value things. As for mock drafts, I don't think we can do a mock. I haven't talked to Kvon about this, but I think we probably need about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I need for me to do a mock draft for me, even to start, I need to see what coaches get hired.
Yeah.
Just so I know what schemes they're going to run, because that's important. Because I take the shit seriously, obviously. So
you got to see not just the coach, we got to see the GM, man. Like, we got to see a lot of different things happen before we do a mock draft.
Yeah, so I think over the next 2-3 weeks, we'll probably start breaking down some position groups right now beforehand. That's probably what we'll get into. And then any questions or comments that you guys might have, please feel free so we can answer those. But yeah, so this was a great show. I've really enjoyed it. So everyone tune in and keep it going.
Again, just like Sean said, you are not going to find another show out there that is doing this type of in-depth draft talk this early. So it's your chance to learn more about what your team can do to get better. And I'm telling you, if you ask the question and if you tell us where you think your team needs help, we will dig in and we will do our research to let you know the best people for those positions. We'll also let you know if there's other positions that your team needs to help on. We'll dig into your team. So let us know at Money Down Pod. Give us a comment on YouTube. Doesn't matter. Just let us know. 5-star review on the podcast, any podcast platform. It's much deserved. We appreciate it. This was the Money Down Pod. That is Sean White. I am Kvon Thibodeaux. Follow us on Twitter at Money Down Pod. And we will see you later this week for our NFL divisional matchup preview. Stay tuned for that.